What is up, everybody? It is the most styling, the most profiling podcast on the Panda Wrestling Company on Twitch. This is Ego Drip. I am the Wrestle Talk Drip God. I am Hambone.
I am Khan from the 703. How you doing?
I'm Nick.
Then we have a special guest host with us today, Mr. Irish Neep. Up here. Neep, how are you doing, brother?
Oh, I'm excited about this, you guys. I'm very excited.
Welcome
So
to the show.
are we.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Glad to have you.
Yep, glad to be
So
here.
this is our first big name guest episode. We have a very special episode for you guys tonight. This man, I mean, you know his music. If you've been watching wrestling for any amount of time, you know this man's music. And really, even if you don't watch wrestling, there's no way that you don't know this man's music. You probably have heard a million other people that he's collaborated with as well, and you don't even know it. Our special guest tonight, Mr. Kevin Rudolf.
Yo,
Round of
what's up, guys?
applause. Round of applause. How you
What
doing?
is up, Kevin? How are you, man?
What is
Thank
going
you
on?
for having me, man. Thank you. This is fun.
No problem. Glad for you to be here.
Show.
No problem.
So I want to start off first off. Is last time me and you talked was you were about to drop a new single, Gold.
Yeah.
First off, I want to say congrats on performing at the Brooklyn Nets. That was dope, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I was actually glad I got to do that song there because it was the crowd. I mean, I'm gonna jump into a little story. Is that all right?
Sure.
Yeah, let's go.
take it forward.
So it was funny because I hadn't done one of these in a while. You know, I'd done obviously, you know, wrestling, SummerSlam, done hockey games, football games. You know, for some reason, I get the call, right? And I got a call saying, "Can you do the Nets game next week?" And I was like, "Well, shit, it's like not a lot of time to prepare, you know. I mean, it's New York, it's Brooklyn, it's, you know, it's a good look. It's, you know, yeah, I mean, I want to do it." And then I said, look, I mean, I got to do it with the band though, because I did a game in Madison Square Garden, Knicks game a long time ago, and it was a rough crowd. I mean, like, it's rough, like, and they were losing, so they're mad at you. You know, you're in the way of them winning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I got to do it with the band. I can't do that like track. I don't ever really love to do it that way. I just, you know, I'm a rock musician by trade, and it just feels a little bit like phony. You know what I mean? Doing track acts. You got to do it sometimes. You can't always bring a band, and you can't always just do a little acoustic thing and be up there and, you know. But so I said, all right, I'll do it if I can do it with a band, you know. And they call me back. All right, you know, we can't do the band, insurance, all this thing. We can't bring it onto the court. I was like, look, man, maybe we can reschedule for next year. And they said, well, I said, how long is the show? Because they originally told me it's 15 minutes. They said, oh, it's only 3.5 minutes. I was like, that's cool, man. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do the track. I'll bring my DJ. We'll do it. It'll be amazing. You know, the cheerleaders and everything, because I know those performances. They usually have the cheerleaders, the DJ, the whole thing.
Right.
And like, all right, cool. So anyway, we lock it in. I bring my DJ, get to New York, and they're like, yeah, you know, we can't really have the DJ up there with you because the insurance and the thing. I'm like, oh man, you know. So I'm thinking, all right, so no band, I guess no DJ. I said. So they said, well, we'll just play the backing track from the front of the house and you'll play guitar and sing. I was like, okay, I'll have the cheerleaders though. At least that'll, you know, again, it doesn't really matter, but in the interest of being like in front of like 15,000 people or 10 or whatever, 12, whatever it was, and solo. So anyway, long story short, the choreographer didn't get the music in time or whatever. She couldn't put anything together. So now I got no band, I got no DJ, and now I got no cheerleaders. And I'm at sound check, and I just got up there, and it's just like, they'll be like, no, but it'll just be a spotlight on you, so they won't see how empty it is up here. I'm like, okay, and that's gonna work for you? And they're like, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. We're good. It's like, okay. So we did it. I did it, and I had never played for that many people alone. Like track, no DJ, no band, no cheerleader, no firework, no nothing. It was pretty wild. Yeah,
that's crazy. So I wanna throw out 2 Kevin Rudolph related facts about me real quick before we get into this. First off, I have been saying for like 10 years now that if I were ever a wrestler, my entrance theme would be In the City. That is the most perfect entrance song, in my opinion. It's all about being a superstar. And it's just this
so
big
glad
banging song.
When people ask me what one of my favorite songs or my favorite song on that album is, it's In the City.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, it's funny, I actually did that beat, I remember one night for Wayne. And I went to the studio and I played it for Slim and the whole Cash Money, all the people. And they're like, where's the 808? I'm like, no, there's no 808. It's like rock drums.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay, well, just sort of went over and like, I brought it back home but that song I finished so quickly. I just literally like a lot of that stuff. There's no lyrics in it. Like, I mean, every day I'm a star in the city, walk the streets like a wanted man all the time. Got my shit. But it says, give it all for me. And I kind of said like, same old lie, and I'm kind of saying same old lie. Man, I got another story for you though. Shit. I should
do it. We got nothing but time.
Go for it.
We got nothing but time
tonight. I'm full of stories tonight.
Go for it.
Go for it.
I haven't done a talk in a while, so I got to unleash a few. I'll throw this one up there. So long story short, I did this show with Daryl Hall. You know Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates?
Yep.
Yeah.
So he had a show called Live at Daryl's House. A lot of musicians did it. Really great show. Like, went to his house. He cooks like up a chicken and thing.
It was on Access, right?
It switched networks, but it did get picked up at some point. Yeah.
Yep.
And he bakes you like a chicken. Got like the most ridiculous session players as the background band, and they type up the lyrics to your songs because he does 3, I think it was 2 or 3 songs of yours with you, and you do 2 or 3 songs of his with him. So I did like She's Gone and a couple Hall & Oates classics with him, and one of the ones he picked to do with me, I think, or I can't remember, was In the City. And he sounds amazing on it. He's like, every day, I'm doing it more like, yeah, and he's kind of doing every day I'm a star in the city, like that. And he had the lyrics all typed up, and they're like on a teleprompter. For me, I mean, I know the records, so I don't really need it, but I needed the ones for his, and he probably needed the ones for mine. And he had under that, it says, give it all up for me, give it all up for me, give it all up for me. And then at the bottom, it said, that city boy life. So every time I saw it, I was kind of going, that same old lie. And he interpreted it as that city boy life, which is so much better because he's probably clearly a much better songwriter than I am, So I was just like, wow, he fixed my song, and there's no lyrics anywhere on it, so might as well just be that then. So every time I would play it live, I would just say that city boy life.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, when my wife and I met, like this was like 15 years ago now, when she went to my MySpace page to stalk me, Let It Rock was the song that I had. And she cannot hear Let It Rock and not get, all the fuzzies and everything thinking about me. So I have you to thank for that.
Yeah, every time you say, oh, let it rock, my baby.
So Neep was talking to you about the new single, and I really like the new single. I think, the lyrics kind of touch on, a lot of stuff going on in the world that I think that people are opening their eyes to and seeing a little bit more and more. What was your inspiration behind writing it?
That really, I mean, what you just said, I think, I don't want to be on some, it's dangerous territory for me. Like I'll get in that TikTok algorithm. I'll be like, you start looking at all these things, and Kanye said this, and Balenciaga, and this thing, and this chat robot, and this thing, and then, and I'll just be like, oh my God, it's true. And then like an hour later, I'll just be like, fuck did I just watch for now? You know,
Right.
I mean, like what? Okay, great. So let's say all this stuff is true, and this is the world, and banking and government and blah 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 blah. Okay, let's say the worst of the worst is true and worse, or whatever. Now what? What are you gonna do about it? Nothing.
Right.
Are you
Right.
would you pick it? You gonna hold up a sign? You're
Right.
gonna make TikToks about it, so other people can go, "Oh my God, did you hear that?" And it's like, okay, so what? Doesn't help your life, doesn't empower you, doesn't make you feel so great at the end of the day. And honestly, it doesn't really help you with anything you're trying to accomplish in the world. So actually, the very fact, whether it's going on or not, the very fact that you're even talking about it, thinking about it, and watching it is a double distraction of it. So now you know, it doesn't do anything for you. When you don't leave the country. So anyway, that's my whole. I think, and I don't buy into a lot of that shit anyway. I mean, some of it may be true, maybe not, maybe in a way that has been that way for so long, and it really just doesn't matter because your parents and grandparents will live and die through it, and so will you. You know, so anyway, I said all that to say that I think that there's just a general consciousness of all of that stuff going on, what may or may not be true, the fact that it appears to be more relevant or obvious that there are forces at work or not. And I wanted to bring that up, but I wanted to bring the power and the attention back to the individual, which is saying we're made out of gold. It doesn't matter because we are, you know, higher consciousness, spiritual beings. We're spirits and bodies. I don't really believe in like, you know, any lines of, you know, inequality or what may be perceived as that. So I think we're spiritual beings, and that's really the theme of it is the self-empowerment aspect of it.
Huh. And what, as far as the reception to the song and stuff like that, what have you experienced from the people that have been listening to it? Because people on TikTok seem to be rocking with it.
Yeah, people seem to love it. You know, you know, I think in the new age, it's just we just keep putting out music, you know, but it's doing great, and people love it, and they're connecting with it, which is what I wanted. I wanted to do a song that like had a lot of the same sounds from Let It Rock and kind of called back to that, like in the artwork and all that stuff, going back to that In the City era, just as kind of like a reminder. Also, just connecting dots, I think, with people, which is why, you know, I've been just really like putting myself out there in social media land. Just, I like connecting with people, you know, it's fucking cool. Like to hear their stories of, you know, even hearing your story right now about the MySpace thing. And, you know, I love that stuff. That keeps me going. It keeps me excited. It keeps me feeling like, all right, let's go. We got to keep doing this. You know what I mean?
I like that. And you said last time, you know, after the single dropped and all that, you know, this was, you know, might lead into an album. So how we feeling after the reception?
We're continuing. Yeah, no, I don't go on like receptions. I mean, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm just I create because I create, you know what I mean? Like we don't know what's what anymore, you know what I mean? Like, and I mean that from every musician standpoint. Like, I mean, you got records that are 40 years old that are just becoming hits, you know what I mean? Like it just I think, you know, look, I would love it to just magically go viral like one day. That'd be sick. But I also think it's about the continual output, and knowing that any post or thing or any, you know, event can trigger one of those kind of things, and it can happen tomorrow, it can happen in a year or 20 years. So I'm putting out I got a new single coming out next Friday.
Nice.
And ironically called We Made It. And yeah, I know it's kind of funny because of, you know, I never thought I'd touch on that again exactly, but it just kind of came to me, and I thought, you know, it's just a good opportunity to kind of like, again, I think I'm sort of creatively, if I were to look at it objectively, in this phase of kind of like, you know, reconnecting dots, you know what I mean? There's sort of like pulling the past forward a little bit, and I want and the desire to like take everybody who grew up with that music with me.
Wow. I can't wait to hear the new song already, man. I can't wait. That's
So
dope.
our podcast, our theme mostly focuses like about style in professional wrestling. It's about like the wrestlers, their gear, like their style, their in-ring style, things like that. You certainly have your own style, both fashion wise and your musical style, which has been described as like genre bending. Who influenced your style, both like the way that you like to dress and your music?
Wow, that's a good question. I never really been asked about like clothes so much. I guess like when it comes to that stuff, I don't. I really love like if I were to think like the coolest person ever dressed is probably like Joe Strummer from the Clash. You know what I mean? He's just bad motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like to me, like I love all that stuff. Like I love like accessories and jewelry and things like that and hats and scarves and stuff like that. I don't know, it's sort of like you feel like all protected, you got your shit on, like I love like 70s punk stuff. I love, I think it's like, I do, there were pockets of like urban fashion that I like a lot. I liked like early 2000s, like the beginning of the Babe stuff and I love the skater stuff, the Stussy, Undefeated. So I guess it's probably like, if I were to like separate it, it's probably like a combo of like skater, Stussy, stuff like that, mixed with like the Joe Strummer stuff that I like. Like it's like a little hip hop, little rock, little punk, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And then I also like musically, I think it's kind of the same thing. Although music's kind of crazy because it's like it fulfills like a couple different things for me. It's like projecting outward style in terms of like what I want to do sonically and what I want to push out. It's kind of like what you want to wear. You know what I mean? Like I like to also use music as to soothe myself, right? So it's like music that like you may not think I listen to or even make. Like I'll make like really fucking like beautiful, like really pretty things, soundscapes and ambient things or just like really soothing stuff like that because it fulfills another part of me. I think it's sort of like, I can't explain anyone else's like childhood or anything like that, but for me it was like music was like a very much like a soothing mechanism, but then also like an outward aggression mechanism. So it's sort of like I think the stuff that I end up putting out to the world for the most part is more on the aggression side, in the same way that I probably always like wearing black, even though I'd love to probably come out in like some fucking like, like blue and white teal suit and like, with a cane and shit and just like, I don't know, walking around tired dude in the Virgin Islands and shit.
Right.
I'm just making shit up. But yeah, man, I think it's like both those things, but as far as the outward of it, it's probably the same as the clothes and the music is probably the same thing. It's rebellion, self-empowerment, just general self-empowerment in every form. That to me, like that's my theme as an artist. And that can come in a fuck you to the world, that can come in a great, that can come in a relaxed, I'm too cool because I'm not trying. It can go in different forms, but if I think about like what I want to put into music, like that's probably like the message I like to convey, and that feels right for me.
Now, I know that you've said before that, both of your parents were musical. Your mother was a singer and your father was a DJ. Do you feel like they were a big influence in, your love of music and all that?
Yeah, I think so. In the beginning, I just kind of rebelled. You know what I mean? I kind of like was like, oh, I don't even like music. I was like, how kids are like.
Yeah.
But I think it seeped in, particularly like my mom, like she had a lot of vinyl, and I think she even still has a lot of it. She had like Van Halen and Led Zeppelin and a lot of 80s stuff, because it was like all that hangover. So it was like a lot of Pat Benatar and Cyndi Lauper but good records. Like Joni Mitchell, she had 60s records. So, Jimi Hendrix, she had good music. Like if I look back on it, she had like really good music there. And I think that definitely seeped in. And I think as I really picked up a guitar, I was like, ooh, you do have those records, don't you? And I'm like, got the needle on the vinyl and shit, you know, like Van Halen too. I will learn this on vinyl.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So you talked about, like, all the different styles of music that, you like to make. And, I feel like a lot of people don't know how much you have collaborated with other artists, and especially other artists that, people might not associate with you, like, the Black Eyed Peas, Justin Timberlake, Nelly Furtado. I know you did a little bit of country stuff too. Outside of your relationship, like with artists from Cash Money, who are some of your favorite artists to collaborate with, and why?
It's a good question. I really liked like what I ended up doing with Keith Urban, and we didn't really work together on it, to be honest. Like, it was a song that I had written with a couple guys in Nashville, and we ended up we did end up connecting, through like phones and seeing each other at the parties and the show and the stuff like that. But I really like him. I just think he's a fucking pro. You know what I mean? He's like a great singer. He delivers. He's an awesome dude. Like, he's just cool. I like him a lot, and he's a great guitar player. Who else? I mean, so many. A lot of the. I mean, tangential Cash Money. I thought Rick Ross was amazing. Nas was amazing. Obviously Wayne. That falls under Cash Money. As far as like the stuff like the Justin Timberlake, Nelly Furtado, Black Eyed Peas era, that was more just to clarify me playing guitar on those records, even because I was working with Timbaland, and I was just kind of like, half working, half fly on the wall, just absorbing production and learning. And I just loved like the energy of that time period and being a part of those records, because those are special records, and it was a special time in music in Miami, all that stuff, right? So, I mean, but those experiences were really cool and important for me. I was like soaking up an energy at the time that was important to like my musical development. Who else? I mean, I've really had really good experiences with pretty much everybody. I mean, I know it sounds kind of like, but it's true. I mean, listen. You don't get very far if you're not somewhat cool, and most people, if they're working with you, they're being cool, because there's no reason not to be. Everyone wants the best result. I don't know what anyone's like if you run into them on the street, but with me, everyone's been great.
Yeah. And, that's actually kind of is a perfect segue into my next question, because you kind of touched on it there a little bit. But you've told the story about how you were invited by Timbaland to watch a recording session, and you ended up, playing guitar on a Lil' Kim song at his urging. Can you talk about that experience and how he influenced your attitude in making records?
Yeah, I mean, I was a fan to start. So when I met Jimmy Douglas, who's again been my friend for a very, very long time, solid, one of my very closest friends. He happened to be working with Timbaland, and it was the time we were becoming friends. And I was like, dude, oh man, I'm like, I was just, when you, well, at least for me, I was feeling that thing inside me, and I was so drawn. It had nothing to do with any kind of success or commercial anything. It was just strictly like, man, I was like, oh man, he uses the ASR 10, the Ensoniq keyboard. Like, that's how he gets those beats and those textures. And I was just so into the production, It was so innovative, I thought, for the time, and it was successful, which is really fucking cool. Like, it was just like, you listen to those early, Missy records, Aaliyah records. I mean, nothing. And really still doesn't to this day. I mean, he was on some shit. Like, he was just doing really interesting sounding records, and the fact that they were actually really successful was amazing, because most of the time when people do really interesting shit, it goes nowhere, And he was just like so creative to me, and so I connected with Jimmy, and he's like, you want to come down? I was like, yeah, I do. I really like a lot. I want to come down. Like, I want to fuck with you guys. I want to like learn and watch. And I brought my guitar because, why wouldn't I? Just something to do, something to offer. And it was one of those first nights that they were working on that Lil' Kim record, and I just again, played a really simple line over it. But that was just sort of the continued entrance into that world. But I got so much out of that. I look back on that time really very, very fondly. You know, I look back and I was like, wow, that was like, I was like a sponge. I was watching everything. A lot of that stuff, as far as making those kind of records now, is different because it's so easy now to do so many of those things, which were so interesting at the time, you know? Like you could just Google Timbaland drums or whatever drums, just, you know, back in the day, you were like waiting for him to fall asleep to grab the zip drive, you know?
So last time you, right before Gold dropped, you let us know on a little bit about the song, about, you know, Let It Rock and using the same kind of patterns and stuff. We made it. Do you care to share any little thing you can give us about that next song?
I did it right after. There was like the day I got back from the NBA thing, and I was in New York, obviously for that, and I was there for like, you know, just moving through New York. I was busy because we were doing the show and everything like that. But I caught like a new vibe on it. I was like, that kind of champion energy got in my blood and my bones from the game and the thing. And I was just like, man, I want to do this. I want to do that kind of record. I want to do the, you know, and it's funny because the verses are really more, again, they're more me sort of telling a story that's not all like rah, 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 but I just wanted to just put that feeling, that energy and that emotion out there that, you know, we kind of did make it. We're still here, you know, like a lot of kids that I grew up with didn't make it. I don't mean make it success. I mean, they're not alive anymore. And we're here, and that's fucking cool. Like we're, you know, like there's something to be said for that. And something in me being in New York for those couple of days connected me with that. And I wanted to put that into a song and just say, hey, we made it, you know, we're actually all here, and the world actually is okay. And we're actually, you know, as long as you got your health and we're here and we're still standing, we're good. And I wanted to put that into the world because I don't think enough of that gets said. We talk about what's wrong all the time and what the problem is with this and what so-and-so said and all those things. And there's so little attention to the fact that, like, you're here, you're eating, you got a place to live, we're okay. Like, everyone's actually okay. Not everyone, but
I like
lot
that.
of people.
That's dope.
So, I have a question for you, Kevin. So I got a story too. So I, the first time I heard about you, same thing, was MySpace, Let It Rock. But my two favorite songs by you were Welcome to the World. Absolutely love that song to this day. And the song you did with Lil Wayne on Rebirth, One Way Trip.
One Way Trip, yeah.
Yeah. So I just remember wearing those songs out. But my question to you is, what was the hardest thing for you to adjust to when you were making that transition from just regular day-to-day life into fame?
You know, I think sometimes about like what people are like going through now with social media, because there wasn't much of it then except for MySpace. I think like one of the days I really remember there being a shift was the day, I think it was like the day Let It Rock really got officially released, which I had no idea. It was like I literally went from being ungoogleable, whatever, if that's a word, to like a solid 14 pages of stuff on me within like 2 hours, you know?
Yeah,
Wow.
Like one morning. And I think it was just because all the blogs picked it up, or whatever blogs there were at that time, or like radio outlets, or just different pages just announcing it, or, you know, showing something. And that was like, it was a little bit invasive. I was like, well, that was quick, you know? I had a feeling it was going to happen that way, obviously, just because Wayne was on it, you know? I mean,
right.
Wayne was you know, clearly like the biggest star in the world at that moment. And, you know, I mean, I guess, I don't know what that would be comparable to like in this day and age, but it was more hyper focused then, because you didn't, have so much social media, so it wasn't really like fragmented in terms of people's attention. Like if you were on the main stage, that was you're it, you know.
Yeah.
So I guess I became really busy really quickly just with the things that needed to get done, like, you know, finishing the album and mixing. And then I remember like the first couple times, like, you know, someone would come up to me, and it was really fun and really exciting. I remember one time we were doing a show. It was like a radio, you know, those Jingle Ball, Jingle Jam type shows.
Yeah.
And it was me and like Lady Gaga, and we'd like and like Katy Perry and Akon and Flo Rida, and just a mix, but clearly like more pop artists, which I did not expect to be like necessarily associated with, because I didn't see myself as that. Maybe it kind of came out like that. But I remember like these kids, like a bunch of 12, 13-year-old kids, like I'm watching like Lady Gaga stage. It's an arena, so there's a lot of fucking people, and they're like, you know, on the, I don't know, the one of the mezzanine levels, and they all come running to me, and I'm like, who's here? I'm like looking around. They're like, Kevin, Let It Rock, and I was like, you want to see me? I was like, all right, sick.
Yeah.
And pictures, whatever, you know, like I think a couple of those things got burned in my mind of just like, whoa, those pivotal, like crazy moments, you know.
Yeah.
But I also never I never reached like any kind of uncomfortable level of fame, you know. Like I couldn't imagine what it's like being like a Kardashian type of person. Like I was miles and miles and miles away from something like that, you know, like that, and that kind of media attention. That must be so exhausting. Like,
yeah, where you're like essentially kind of just in a bubble.
You're trapped. Like you're trapped. You can't go anywhere. Like, I guess it's sort of a dream, but it's like the dream part of it is super fleeting, and it can turn into a nightmare really quickly.
Facts.
Like I just kind of always wanted like yo bro, yeah, you know, I listen to your stuff, or, you know, like that's just satisfying and awesome enough for me without like I can't leave the apartment or something.
Yeah. Much more casual.
Yeah, like you want to enjoy your life. Like there's always more of everything. There's more success and more hits and more money and more things and more of everything, but freedom to live your life and make your own choices. You know, you want the success because you want some kind of freedom.
Exactly.
And then you get trapped. So that's not so great. You know, I'm very like happy just having fans, people knowing, and continuing to do what I do. Of course, I always want more, you know, big records, because it's fun. It's like it's the world loving what you do back, but you can't live for that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I got a couple questions like related to the work that you did with WWE. The first one is, you know, we see WWE and other companies license songs from artists all the time, but I don't feel like we really know what that process looks like. You know, can you explain like what the process is of a song being licensed? You know, do they contact you directly? Do they go to an agent, or how does that exactly work?
I think it works like a few different ways. Oftentimes, like in the beginning, it would be through either your publisher or label or both. Like they'll receive a request. That's how it would work in the beginning. And usually when you have a song that's being requested by them, you know, you're getting these things kind of, could be every day, every few days, sometimes 3 times a day. It could be for a movie, sports event, or promo, or wrestling, or it could be anything, you know. But I did notice like the first few, like, you know, WWE was really consistent with, and then we started doing some things together event wise, and then I met the people there, and now, you know, we're friends. So there would never be, you know, that would be like, you know, when you know someone, you know that they're gonna like, I'll get a text. I'm not gonna get like, or a phone call. You know, I'm not gonna get like, hey, hey Sony, you know, we just received an anonymous request. But that relationship, I think, was built over just doing some events together, and some certain things where like if one of us had an idea to do like a maybe a different version of it, like I'd done like a really rock version of Let It Rock for them, which we didn't end up using. We ended up using something else, certain things like that. But no, that's a one-to-one like relationship now. But typically, if you're not someone you get like a request from your publisher would forward you the request for approval, or the label would. It's fairly formal, and there's like a contract and that kind of thing.
Yeah. You talked in your last interview with Neep and Johnny about how, after one of your WWE performances, you were able to spend a little bit of time with Kevin Dunn. And Kevin Dunn is like this mythical creature in professional wrestling. All of us fans, we know his name, we know who he is. We've heard so many stories like about him and his demeanor and all that. Can you talk about like your experience with Kevin and what kind of guy he was?
I love him. I think he's the greatest. I think he's so cool. Like I don't know what the myth or the legend is, but we after SummerSlam, we hung, we had drinks, we had fun, we talked, and I love like his attitude on everything, and it's very refreshing, especially coming from like the general music business, and like I said before, they write their own rules, they have their own organization, so they don't play to any. They don't get pressured by industry stuff. They don't think about like the way someone in the music industry thinks. They're like, to me, they're like an island, and where they make the rules. And I'm speaking mainly when I say that in terms of music choices and things like that. You know what I mean? Like they've been so loyal to me. Like they never were like, well, the song's really not charting the same way, which is what they would do for a movie, or something like that.
Right.
And they don't do that. And I respect the shit out of them because of that. I love that. So we've hung a bit and talked a little bit on the phone, and exchanged some emails after that. I remember I had done a video which he really liked, and he was just really vocal about, and he's great. I love their world. I think it's just cool.
Yeah. 9 songs, by the way, in case anybody didn't watch part 1 of this interview. He's had 9 songs appear on WWE programming.
Oh, wow.
Probably crazy, second only to AC/DC.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
See you guys later.
Yeah.
No, they've been so cool. Like I'm grateful for that. It's really cool. Like I don't, sometimes, there's so many cool things like that. And I in the moment, you don't realize it. Or I didn't realize it, I didn't realize, I was like, wow, we keep doing this. This is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
God, I know you had a couple other questions.
Yeah, actually, my next question, obviously the majority of us remember you from your time, with Cash Money. Me especially, just growing up in Louisiana and just coming from,
Cool.
Yeah, my mom's side of the family's from Louisiana, so I spent a lot of time out there, and they love Cash Money, they love No Limit. My question for you is there anything that you learned from being around Birdman and Lil Wayne that you apply to your life to this day, and if so, what would that thing be?
I think I've learned a lot from both of them. I think a lot of what I've learned. I think when you learn things from people, it's sort of like more osmosis energy type thing. But I can tell you, like, what Birdman is like. He's a brilliant, like, reality distortionist. You know what I mean?
Mm.
He just only believes, like, he just never stops seeing it the way he sees it, which is brilliant. And that's how you be, and I have all, like, I have all good memories of him and Slim, particularly Slim too. That I love the way that they just said, we're doing this, we're going to blow it up, we're going to make this happen. And it makes you feel like that. Right. So then you carry that energy. So then they carry that energy, and that energy spreads, and it makes things happen. You know, I mean, on a basic mind over matter level, like I picked that up from them. I got a lot of like, you know, the feeling of the family being with them. Like it is a very supportive environment. You know, they leave you alone creatively. They don't like a lot of record labels will be like, Kevin, you know, the thing is, I think, you know, they don't do that. They're like, they just let you do what you do.
Nice.
Completely. And you know, Wayne is a completely whole other animal. You know, he's a special person. Like,
Well, I agree.
I don't mean that in a like fan like way. I mean that in like just a general observing way. Like, you know, brilliant talent, like highly intelligent, but also like he's very evolved in a lot of ways. You know, he's very like, I think he carries like a real like amazing love for himself. In terms of it's just the thing that makes you love him is generating from him. Like he's very he just has like his mindset should be studied. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would like people who love him and understand him to see how he thinks. Not saying I know how he thinks exactly because I'm not in his head, but my observation is this is someone who has a certain level of mastery over themselves, and it's pretty cool to watch. And another thing is like he's very like a lot of the things he does that we love, or when it comes to just lyrical things, rap, just general everything about him, he is very natural, but at the same time, like he's worked on himself to create that being. I believe, you know, from what I can see, like, and I mean that in an amazing way. Like, he's really designed himself. Like everything you see that you love about him, he's turned himself into, and that's just really impressive. You know, I'm grateful for everything we've done together, and hopefully everything we end up doing in the future. It was a special time too. It was still a lot to that time.
Right. I can only imagine being able to even just have the privilege of saying that you know have a relationship with somebody like Lil Wayne.
The whole time, you know, you got to remember Cash Money at that time. Drake was like just about to even come over there. Nicki just about to come over there, but it wasn't that thing yet. You know, it was like, I remember like my awareness of Cash Money when I was over there was like Wayne, Briscoe.
Oh wow.
This girl T-Lo they had signed. I don't think they ever put anything out on. Like, and that was it, because like the Juvenile, all that stuff, those days were kind of,
it was done. It was over with.
All that was like in the rear view at pretty much at that point. But the new generation hadn't really come in. It was kind of just in the middle of that time where it was like such an opening, you know,
transitional period.
And I never felt like, oh my God, they got so many artists. Like, I did feel like that by 2012 because Baby went on like a crazy signing spree. I mean, there was Paris Hilton was there, Limp Bizkit was there. This one, I mean, great people, you know, whatever. Mystical, Busta. I mean, it was just, and Nicki and Drake and then like a whole gang of other people who he's looking at or he had just signed or done for a single or whatever. So it was a special time. I remember signing with him and going, oh my God, like Cash Money, this is kind of crazy, but it'll be kind of so dope because there's no one there.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you said before that, like, you were basically down. I believe I read it earlier today that you were like down to like your last $18, and then
I
the
probably
next
had
day,
left. I probably
signed.
left by the time I actually got my like advance check. I was probably less than that because I probably owed rent 2 months and a car lease and And I was like going to restaurants, going, "Hey, all right, I gotta run. I'll be back. I'll get you later."
Yeah.
You know, like somebody at a restaurant, and be like, wait, I gotta take this call. I'm gonna hit you back later.
Right.
Yeah.
Just racking up like IOUs all over the place.
So
You-
you said in the earlier about the net situation and just kind of everything that came and all the issues and whatnot that you had. If that chance came up again with the experience you've had already with doing the nets, would you do another show like that?
Of course, there was no issues. I had the best time ever. It was fucking sick.
Right.
When I say issues, I just like that's just like standard shit that just goes with any performance. I told you that because like I thought it was just sort of funny.
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of going in there like I'm gonna have a band, then I'm like I'm gonna have a band and a DJ. It's like no, I have no band, no DJ. It wasn't.
Yeah.
There was no issues. It was fucking awesome. I had the greatest time. They took care of me. They looked out. It was great.
Cool.
It was just funny as a performer going in like, all right, I got da da da, and you're suddenly don't have it.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get you. Yeah. That's funny.
You mentioned that you had a third album ready to go after In the City. Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit? And I mean, what happened with that? What happened with the songs you had ready for it?
You know, it's funny. I was listening to it the other day because there was something I was thinking. I was comparing a mix on something on it, and I wanted to listen to it. So I was going through a few songs on it. I think there's nothing. It was a mixed album. It was like ready to go. And when I listen back, I'm kind of glad it didn't come out because I just felt like it just wasn't it, like it didn't. I think the stuff that I was like writing with outside people was sort of like the mentality that was corrupting my stuff. To a degree, and it was making me, it was like that living in Hollywood thing and then coming back to Miami where I definitely felt comfortable, but I was still of that mindset a little bit, that time, like I lost my edge, I lost my fuck the worldness, I was just kind of like into songwriting, and it feels corny to me,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some good songs on it as songs, but I listened back and I'm like, where did you go?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, how did the fucking person that did In the City do that? Like, how the fuck did that happen?
Right. Now, I mean, you just kind of touched on it, but you have said that, like In the City and, the songs around those times, a lot of it was like, your upbringing in New York City and all that. But you've also mentioned how, moving to Miami was a big thing for you too, and that city also shaped you. Can you talk about how like both cities kind of shaped you and your music and what the difference was between them?
Miami didn't the part about Miami that shaped the music was more like, I think I was drawing from the same energy of like the dark underbelly and like being at the studio at 3:00 in the morning and the whole thing, and then just kind of being this free, independent, kind of wild, fun, lawless, sunny, amazing place. But I don't think I drew from Miami so much, like in terms of as a muse, although it probably blended into the New York side of it. I do think, but I think when it came to the music part, I think the LA thing corrupted it a little bit in terms of just that you get into this industry thing, which is something that like I would probably rebel against a lot normally, except I was being so accepted in it because of the success of what I was doing. So it was like you kind of just go, hey, let the guard down a little bit, and then before you know it, you don't have yourself anymore. And that's how I felt, I think, when I was making that album, and that's why it didn't come out. It wasn't supposed to come out. Those songs are sitting there. They can be whatever they're going to be. I think it was just a lot of exploration, I liked, and it's a lot of the reason, like, I liked connecting with you guys and even hearing your memories of things like that, because sometimes creatively I'll start to go in different directions, and it reminds me of who I am, you know.
I think that's what that's what I always liked about the music that you made, that I still listen to. In the City, Let It Rock, that whole album. There was a dirtiness, a grittiness to it, kind of. And again, that's coming from, because I'm from New York too. I'm not from New York City, but I am from New York. So
Yeah.
that sound that resonates with me.
That felt like the core of it, and it felt like that was getting like that's what was crazy. It was like, it felt like that was getting lost on that third album. It got lost a lot on that second album too. I think there were a few songs that had it, and then I think I was just getting into, I don't know. I just like it just came. It really fucked me up, like a lot of that outside songwriting world, because the way those people think a lot of the time is like they're just like chasing hit records and hooks and hits and things, and I don't like that shit. I like pure, real music. I like I like real shit, and
Real authentic shit.
I just felt like I got like invited to the wrong party and stayed probably a little too long.
Yeah, another question, Con?
I think I have one more. Let me see. Thank God I wrote these down. Okay, yeah. So do you have periods where you just like struggle to find that creativity to make the music that you make? Do you ever have like any down periods or anything like that?
Yo, dude, today, man. I mean, today I wasn't, I mean, I was coming off like, I was out of town. Like I came back, I got sick, and I was kind of maybe partly being sick. A lot of it, man, is just like, it never struggled to be creative, because I don't think you can ever not create something. Like struggling to be creative really means you can be creative, but you think everything you do sucks.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah.
like I mean, I could write.
I think that's the downfall of being a creative person, is you always think everything you do sucks.
And unfortunately, the more probably intelligence and maybe talent and just general awareness that you have, the more apt you are to think it sucks, because you know a lot. In the beginning, you're just like, oh, a keyboard, da, 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 and you're just like,
yeah,
oh my God, I'm a musician now, right? Like that's how I look at some of these kids. Like they just got like Fruity Loops or some shit, and or whatever, FL whatever it is, or some software, and they're like, they got a laptop, and they're just like, I'm a producer now, ding 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 ding, ding. And I'm just like, that's not like, that's just, you're playing a video game with sound, that, right? You're just clicking boxes. Like that's not really music per se, although I'm not saying it's not. I mean, it can be. I mean, it's an evolution. Like that's what people who make music do, I guess. But anyway, I said all that to say, like, I know a lot. I've been doing it a long time, so I can be more critical of it. I can also reach higher heights, but I can also sometimes struggle to get there, because I know, so when I'm I'm hating life when I'm not like liking what I'm working on. It feels like I'm at a dead end or something like that. Like I can't. Yep. But the worst part of it is sometimes it's like, the confusing part is sometimes I'll just start making things in different directions, which are so left field, or so like they almost feel like they're unusable. And sometimes you have to, as a creative person, just sort of make anything, or make the first thing that comes to your head, or make like you have to clean it out, like you have to clear it out of yourself before you can get to your thing. So those are like the most frustrating periods, when like I'll finally feel like, okay, let me do this. Then I start making I'll be making something that's just like totally not even usable or relevant for me. And then I'll just get even twice as frustrated.
Yep. Been there. Definitely been there. Yep.
I want to ask you something, not a curveball, but I just saw it on your Instagram. I just want to know what your experience was like and how it felt. You were at the David Ortiz golf.
Yeah.
About a week or so ago. I saw that, man. How was that experience for you?
It was so cool, man. Oh my God. I've made some really good friends, and I'm sitting next to Chris Tucker for the first and nice. we were just chopping it up for like 2 hours, man. He is a cool motherfucker. He is so nice. He is so cool. Man, he's hilarious. I was like, every time I'm, because we're just chopping it up, every time I'd make him laugh, I'd be like, yes, I made Chris Tucker laugh. You know what I mean? I was like, I made that motherfucker laugh.
Yeah.
He's so cool. I felt like I cooked like a really good dish for like.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm feeling. We talked a lot. We talked a lot about comedy. Because I always think it's harder to do comedy than it is drama, and yet drama gets all the credit.
Mm-hmm.
Like does drama. And, oh my God, they won an Oscar for this crying and it's just like, how much harder it is to do comedy and be actually funny on camera than it is to like be dramatic.
Yeah, that's just tough.
But we were talking about that. He's cool, and that was so fun. And some other NFL players and actor, it was just cool, man. I'm not really a golf player. It was hilarious. Like the first day, like we had like a practice day and everything like that. And I walk up and like there's just 3 dudes, like they're like, "What you got?" And I'm like, I don't play golf.
Yeah.
You start there. Like I'm like I hit it like 4 feet, like a 6 inches of grass goes flying in the air and everything like that.
Yeah.
And they're just like, maybe you should go back to the driving range. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to the drive. So I go back. I throw my shit back in the car, get in the car, drive back to the pro shop, and I'm like, can I get some lessons, please? Because we got a long weekend ahead, and I've taken a couple. But the cause itself is amazing. I mean, they raise like so much money for kids who have need heart operations and very like it's amazing like what David is doing and all the people that like rally around and it's a great event. I recommend everyone supporting it and even coming next year if you play golf or not, because I had a blast. I'm gonna do it again next year. If they have me. It's fun.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I also saw you with like a t-shirt cannon or some kind of like launcher. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, that was my best shot of the day. I'm really not kidding too, and actually was like that was like the only one that I won, or that I had like the best whatever opening golf shot. It was like this cannon where you it's like an air cannon. You just shoot out of it, and then it shoots it hopefully like onto the green.
The golf ball coming out of that thing?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nuts. That's wild.
Yeah, it looks like a t-shirt cannon.
Yeah. That's semi-dangerous.
Yeah, you heard it, but you don't point that at somebody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Nick, you brought up an interesting question earlier.
Yeah, so you talk a lot about your songwriting, and you like to, with the outside people writing, music for you. You've had people write stuff, and it's like, it's club bangers, it's people chasing hits. You like more so of the deeper, the spiritualness. I wanted to know how you describe your spirituality, if you do at all, because a lot of people just define it different ways, and I would like to hear like what your take is on yours.
I think the first step of any of it would just be awareness, awareness of that. I think we are spirits having a human experience. I don't think it's the other way around. So from that awareness, it's whatever, I would be exploring at the time. I think everything is true. And if you believe it, everything is true. So, we have a lot of control over our realities, and we're told that we don't, but I think we do. And I think it could be through meditation. It could be through creativity. I think I would define any kind of spirituality that I have as awareness and seeking growth, realization, internal mastery over myself. which I think is the key to pretty much everything. So, I mean, I don't notice a lot of change or progression that happens externally without some kind of internal recognition of it or creation of it or intention of it is what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think things just happen, you know, in terms of
Right.
growth and like, you know, for your own personal life. I think what I'm saying is I think it's an inner journey first. So
Sure.
I'm always, you know, I like to read and think and meditate and create and all those things. I think everything is spiritual. I don't think there's much of a division.
Okay.
That's interesting, man.
Yeah.
Well, I really want to thank you for doing this with us, Kevin. This was awesome.
Thank you so much.
You are a very cool person to talk to. I very much enjoyed doing this. How has like the TikTok reaction been with you on there, you know, with fans?
It's been fucking awesome, man. I actually haven't done one in a couple of weeks. I was traveling and moving around, and you know, it's sort of like going to the gym. It's like the first day you don't go, you're like, that's cool. And then like after a week, you're like, oh, I should probably go to the gym. And like by the third, you're just, I can't go to the gym today. So
I'm literally in that cycle right now.
Yeah. I'm pretty much every day I come home from work and my wife is like, are you gonna go upstairs and make a TikTok? And I'm like, I don't know if I feel like it today.
No, but you guys are killing it. You guys are so great at it, you know. Like I look to you for inspiration. I got to you know what, that Daryl Hall, I like the ones that I have the most fun with are telling the stories, because I just like it. I like it also for like general posterity, and like I think it's just good. There's so many stories and things, and sometimes things get mixed up if you're reading articles about me or anyone or Wikipedia pages, and I just like the fact that I have the ability to tell the story on camera, and then it's going to kind of always, at least for this internet age we're living in, live there for people to look back on like a time capsule. So I like telling the stories, but I should tell that Hall & Oates story. Because
let's hear it. For your TikTok, you're right. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying no, but I to answer your question, yes, I love the TikTok. It's actually been hugely inspirational for me, just to kind of be interfacing with people and hear their reactions to it. It motivates me so much to like be like, oh man, I want to give these people some new music. You know what I mean? I want to serve them. I want to like give them new shit because they've had meaning. You know, it means something to them, and they're vocal about it, and it's great. I've made so many friends. Like I meet like all the time. Like I think about like so fucking cool. Like if you think about the network of people, like I have like 3 friends who have like 6 million followers each. I got a few who have 2 million. I'm like, wow, this is sick. Like if I think about all the people, and they're new friends, and they're actually some of them actually good friends.
Yeah. I've never met the 3 people in here in real life. Yeah. But really, here I am sending Christmas cards to them this year and everything, you know, just because we've met on TikTok and we've all like, you know, gotten this relationship from it. It's very cool.
And you guys are actually like real friends, and like you know, and then you've got your own followings, and that's like you've kind of got this sort of command over people in the not over, but like you have a reach, you know, to so many people. Like, I mean, what would happen? Like, let's say you were like, yo, I'm in Boston tonight. Yo, I someone stole my wallet, my phone, blah, 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 whatever. Somebody can have a place to stay for me. And you probably have like 3 people hit you at least. You know what I mean? Like, how cool is that? Like that's a community. Like, you don't think about that stuff, but it's true, you know? Yeah. Like, if you were just out there in the world, your reach, the people that know you, that follow you, that interface with you, like, they kind of got your back in a way. Like, if you think about it, you know?
Right.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so it's been cool. I got to get back in it, but it's been great. Like I love it. Like it gives me a lot of motivation. And the thing about, I don't know how deep you guys are in like the music industry world of things, but you can't do it without it. Like there's there's no label, there's no deal, there's no thing, there's no alternative. Like, you're not getting away without being on TikTok or any of these platforms and going hard on them. Like, there's nothing is happening for you. Like, there's no alternative route where you can avoid it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I've found so many bands and artists that I had never heard of on TikTok and went on and followed them on Spotify, and now they're some of my favorite artists. You know, it's a crazy platform.
It is. It's amazing. It's a dream. I mean, if you think about it, it's the only thing I ever think about it. Sometimes it's like, oh man, is it as cool as like getting a record deal and playing Madison Square? You know what I mean? Obviously, they're separate things and they can go together, but like because it's sort of so much easy reach, it almost feels like is it special enough? Like, it's, you know, there's no mystery, there's no like holding an album back for 2 years and coming out of your castle in Ireland with your album. It's like, you know, you're basically showing yourself like, yeah, this is what we ate for lunch that day. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I know is that special?
And the crazy thing is people want to know, though.
And they want to know.
They want to know.
And I want to know. I want to know what, you know, Mick Jagger had for lunch when he was making, or maybe I don't. But some beef and kidney pie or something.
Well, why don't you tell everybody where they can keep up with you on other forms of social media and things like that?
Yeah, it's Kevin, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's all Kevin Rudolf, RUDOLF. And then TikTok is Kevin.Rudolf. And I recently joined Snapchat, which is, you know, I don't know. I'm not doing it too much, but, you know, I'm going to be on it, so get ready. That's also Rudolph, but everything else is just Kevin Rudolph.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Kevin.
Yeah,
we appreciate it so much. This has been very fun.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
It was a pleasure.
Have a great night, guys.
All right. You too, man. Thank you.
Right. Later.
Thank you. Former Cash Money, baby.
That was cool.
That
was very cool, guys.
That's dope.
That was awesome. So I just want to mention before we get out of here, obviously, you know, go follow Kevin on all of those social platforms. This was a special presentation of Ego Drip, but you are getting our regularly scheduled program as well. Sunday, 7 to 9. We'll be on again. We'll be talking about the icon Sting. How are you guys feeling? How's everybody feeling?
Hungry, but good.
Uzi.
So look,
That's
my
what it is.
fiance, she came in, she made like this big ass plate of quesadillas as the interview was about to start, and I was like, I can't eat that while I'm doing this. So the whole time I'm just looking at this fucking plate, bro.
I literally
Put away your
pasta, like,
quesadilla
all
when
episode.
Kevin
Oh
Rudolph
my
is
God.
on the camera.
Bro, it was like as soon as it started, she put the plate down. I'm like, God damn, bro. I'm about to heat this joint up, man.
All right, man. Well,
Hey, yo,
we'll
job on job,
hopefully,
boys.
yeah, you guys will join us on Sunday, and we'll see you then, you fucking marks.
Most definitely. I'm
Yeah.
gonna text y'all.